to the committee. So, Madam Chair.
Okay. Before we start, when I was at that network meeting for Metro a couple weeks ago,
Your neighborhood watch.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. She's a lady, gray hair, short hair. She was a member of this committee for a while.
Nan? I don't know.
Jean?
I
can't remember. Anyway, she joined the design review committee, but she wants to come back.
Are you talking about Kate?
I don't know. I can't remember her name. But she said she didn't know if she could go on, be on 2 committees.
She can.
And I said I'd check with you
Yeah.
next time I started.
Hello, Nancy.
Hi.
How are ya?
I'm good.
Good. Yes, it is very hot. Excessive heat warning goes in tomorrow, I think.
I'm inoculated.
It doesn't matter. Now, if I ever run into her again, I'll tell her yes.
Okay. You said she's on the designer review committee now?
Yeah, that's what she told me.
Then it's Kate. Kate Colosa.
She was just saying.
Or Kate Cosa.
That's the short break here?
Kate. I'll reach out. I'll make a note, reach out to her.
Okay, so I told her, so this is the first time we really, we got together, so.
Okay.
I'm so tired from the July 4th baloney. Oh, from that. It's like World War III over my house. My house is shaking.
Oh my goodness.
And my dog is cowering and it's great.
So is one of my dogs is terrified of that, and they didn't stop
Oh, they
until about
started
11:30. They didn't stop till after midnight. It was ridiculous.
Oh, I had the cool guy to have to clean out all that.
We sat out on the street, we had a barbecue on the driveway, we watched the neighborhood fireworks, saw some UFOs. It was a lovely evening.
Oh, shut up.
I never get to see them. I mean, they're only, well, Paul.
Let me tell you, did you say hello to the UFOs? Did you invite them there?
Actually, I didn't bring my phone out. My neighbor across the street had his phone, and I said, record that. And he goes, okay. So he goes, I got it. And like, it was a flashing light, and all of a sudden it turns red and goes, and disappears. I said, you get that? He goes,
No, it was a
wasn't
picture.
on video.
It was a picture.
So we're on by our neck for anything.
Yeah, we will not be on that. What's that special program that the guy has like this, the wire or something?
We
like
have a Skinwalker Ranch stuff.
Expedition of the Josh Gates, he does UFOs.
I think it's on Channel 8. The guy comes on and talks about all this strange stuff. UFOs is one of the things he talks about. No, our video will not be on there.
Gotcha. All right. We'll bypass Brighton next time. You want to call the meeting to order?
Okay, I hereby call this meeting to order.
So the new business that we have on the agenda is the design and review recommendations on square footage for lot shrubbery for a number of plants. And I know that this came about during the last board meeting in May, where the design and review committee did provide some revisions and or recommendations for the board to consider. But one of the things that they were not necessarily hung up on, but they did want to ask the committee what your take on or what it would be in regards to looking at, not necessarily looking at lots, but providing a recommendation. Should the design and review committee solely look at the square footage, or should it be the number of plants that a lot would allow to have in the front yard? If I'm misspeaking, please correct me, but I think that that's what it was.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Could I add something to that, something new while we're looking at that? I did go to the network meeting. Seems we've been having some issues according to
Neighborhood watch.
the neighborhood watch. I went, well, it wasn't really a neighborhood watch meeting, but
It turned out to be, that's what it was supposed to be.
That's the one in Northern Terrace?
Uh-huh.
yeah, they want to form neighborhood watches on each block. I don't know where they are at that. At any rate, the discussion came up about there have been a number of break-ins and other things here. So when I was walking my dogs and I was looking at our shrubs and trees and everything. And I thought, besides looking at it from this perspective of how many, maybe we should look at it also from a security perspective. Because if you look at, I don't know about the other communities, but in my community, you look where there are low walls, they have trees planted right next to the walls. And some are small, like I have mesquite trees that I've got a contract out on because of their allergies. But there are some that are solid pine trees that somebody could use the tree to up over a wall. I don't know. The other thing is trees are planted in front of the sign, the addresses, and you cannot read the address until you get up there, which is a problem.
It's a code violation.
The fire department used to come around Northern Terrace and find people, but I don't know if they still do that.
You don't want to call the fire department out. Ever.
Well, you know, they used to find, but I was thinking maybe we should look at it from that perspective. I'm not saying we should do anything about it, but just as we're talking about it and the number of plants and everything else, maybe we should look at it from that perspective too.
Your individual community manager should enforce tree trimming in front of your house numbers. It should not be something that we as a committee or Providence Master Association needs to get involved in.
That's right.
Well, I'm telling you because okay, I'm not saying that we here should get involved in it. I'm telling you to go back, when you go back to your sub-associations, you can bring it up.
Yeah.
That's why that's the only reason I'm saying that.
We have that because it's a DA requirement. The United States government requirement that your tree is to be 12 feet from the driveway and
So much for
8
that.
feet from the sidewalk because it's a disability requirement. And the other thing is about to being able to see the lighted street number. But I think that I didn't have any control over what was in front of my house. That was planted by the builder.
That's true, but a lot of people, at least in Northern Terrace, have redesigned their yards, myself included, and they move things around. And some of them, trees are planted like right next to the driveway, right next to electric
It's
boxes.
supposed to be 3 feet away.
Also, the builder didn't comply with a lot of the rules either.
No, the builder
At
did,
least in our neighborhood.
Don't.
no, because that's why a lot of them are like that. They're next to lampposts. A lot of trees are not, you know. So I just thought, you know, just put your mind, think about it, go back to your sub-associations. Whether you do something, it's up to you. I'm just bringing some ideas that you
Okay,
can
but
put back to.
ours are trimmed. And there's where everybody can see. And if somebody doesn't take care of business, then they are fined. Or they're given a letter from our property.
Okay, because when I was walking the street this morning till somebody interrupted me, I was counting. I got just that one second of one side of the street, 4 houses. There had their 6 houses. Their signs were covered by the trees.
Okay.
You know, so Northern Terrace, I'll talk to him about that.
Make a recommendation to your community board at the next board meeting that they enforce the fire department regulations that are enforced. Because again, there's not a single community in Providence that wants the fire marshal to come through and start doing inspections, because that could turn into a situation that will be unpleasant for all of the owners and the HOA in general.
Well, like I said, they used to come through Northern Terrace occasionally.
But they can't, you don't want them to come through.
I'm not saying we're on to.
My recommendation, being involved with a code enforcement for many years, you don't want anyone from the government coming into your
Starting to
property.
poke around.
Yeah,
Because
because
one thing will snowball into something else.
Because they have to look at the
Fire hydrants.
the what?
Fire
Yes, the fire hydrants, that's what they do. That's the only time they really come through.
Yeah, all I'm saying is, I know because Kim had sent out, it wasn't Kim, whoever our community manager was, that fire department was coming around and looking at your address signs. That's all I know. But now I haven't seen that for a number of years, so. I know, but I thought you could think about that and just talk to, when you go back to your community.
Yes, and that's a good point, because we are going to be putting out in our newsletter regarding the number of signs on your homes. A lot of people, they're burnt out, you can't even see it. So if emergency crew has to come through, they can't locate your
Oh,
home.
the lights are burning out.
Yes,
Oh,
you cannot locate the address because we don't have anything on our curbs.
Do you have to get a special, well, you must have to get a special light pole.
Oh, yeah, you just take out the old one that's legal and you go
Where
down
do
to
you
Home
find it?
Depot.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
They're not that easy to take out. That's okay.
Oh,
I did mine, I had to take the whole light saying off and dig it out because the bulb breaks and the stem stays
Just
inside.
Yeah, there's
Put a new bulb in and it's an involved process, so I can understand why people don't replace those bulbs, because if they try and take one out, it breaks, they're like, okay, I'm done.
Or some that are on
But
photo cell.
it is a requirement and it is a good safety feature.
Yeah,
for
so
the
you
entire
hire
community.
somebody to come and do it, that's what they're doing.
It's called a
Can I-
gardener.
She already knows how to
No,
do it.
Larry breaks them off of the stem.
Never mind.
Never mind.
I'm not doing
Okay.
it. Mine are still there.
Well, if we
Okay.
take an average
So,
lot from driveway to property line, let's not take the parkway area, which is 3 foot wide by whatever, 20 feet. Let's take the primary front yard. And if the primary front yard is, say, 30 feet by, or 20 feet by 15 feet, you have 300 square feet. Let's round it up to 400 square feet. How many plants would our recommendation be put in 400 square feet? And that would be the number of plants per square foot, regardless of the size of the lot. If you have a much larger lot, we may put in 400 to 500, you need X number of plants. 500 to 600, you need X number. 700 and larger, then you have a larger number of plants. But I don't think it should be specifically a strict number per square foot, because if you have a really large lot, you may be, especially given the water situation here in Nevada, you may not want a person to put a plant every 100 square feet, because it may not be necessary to preserve the aesthetics of the entire neighborhood and the community. So I think if there was a range of square footages and a specific number of plants for that lot size, then I think the board would take that into consideration and certainly.
I have too many plants already. It's gonna be one plant for 100 square feet.
Are you including trees in that, or just the plants?
No, it'd be one tree in
It's
your
one
front yard.
tree.
Yeah.
Do you have to have a tree?
Yes,
That's right, yes, you have to have.
Why?
because it's.
That's the
it's
guideline.
that way. We
It's
had a-
guidelines.
we had a
You can have one
guy-
tree.
We had a guy in our neighborhood, took down both trees, right down to the ground, so he was written up, so now he's got 2 new trees there.
Why do
You
you have
only
to
need
have
one.
one tree?
Unless if
He
the
has
sub
the
association is more
requirement,
stringent on the
one is
layer.
by the driveway,
Sherry,
and one is
design
by the
guidelines have a
front of the
rule, you
house.
have to have, used to be 2 trees, but they changed it to
To
1.
one.
I know, I got that changed.
So, but you have to have 1 tree in your front yard.
Then we changed it back in
Design guidelines,
2019.
It has to be, have IT from the house.
Yeah, the
How far
Master
from sidewalk
Association
is it
changed their
possible?
guidelines in
Okay,
2019.
that's, it was just changed last.
One of my neighbors' tree was planted right next to her house, and her landscaper told me she's gonna have foundation issues.
Yeah.
And she didn't have room, there was no place else to put it. So actually, with the neighborhood advisory committee, we came and I went to bat for her, and we got it changed to at least 1 tree. But I've never been able to understand how they came up with the numbers, and why you have to have 5 different species of plants.
So that's, depends on your lot size.
No.
No, because my
But
lot, I've
does the
got a
city
long
of Las
lot.
Vegas have
I
requirements?
go, I'm like
What should
8
they do?
feet from the back door to the back
They
door.
have something, but I don't know what it is.
Right, I mean, has anybody looked at, I guess I'm asking, has anybody looked at the city of Las Vegas requirements?
I know that was something that I tasked to the design and review committee simply because that they're dealing with it. And I think that we talked about that I think it was probably like in 2019 where we were looking at
Okay.
revisions and stuff like that. And like the application, because we were talking about permitting and stuff like that, and you did make note of that. So I did task
Gold
them.
star for
They,
Nancy.
I'm pretty sure they, I know unincorporated Park County has requirements, and it's all for prevention of runoff, and acting as a water break in case of flood, and raise the once every 3 years.
Once every 3 years.
But that's why, I mean, we don't want to be in violation of the city.
Right. I don't know. So I talked to Jody about this, but has she talked to you guys about looking at the city guidelines as far as what they require, what their recommendations are?
We really haven't met yet.
Oh, you guys are still,
We're just doing it.
Okay.
So we're, I think. It's supposed to be
I haven't heard. I think 2 weeks ago, they wanted to know what the person count was going to be and whether or not it was going to be an in-person or online. And I think the majority voted online only, and there was no in-person meeting. And I know that the most recent applications that we reviewed was online only also. So I'm not sure when we will be meeting in person again for the design review committee. I'm not.
Yeah, you might want to ask Sherry, I don't know, I know she had asked about that, at the time I had plans, we were gonna be out of town, so I couldn't have gone.
I'm taking your gold stars away, just saying,
I
right now.
was out of town
It's
also.
okay,
so
not a
sorry.
problem.
We are
Gold
so
stars.
sorry.
We're both. Okay, no problem. So I think then before we make a recommendation, then let's look at that first. And then you guys kind of decipher and mail that over to see if this is even something that is considerable for us to do. And if we are in breach of any city guidelines. that
I'll
are
put some
in place.
recommendations together for the design review committee on the number of plants, given the ranges
The range,
of lot
yeah.
sizes. So
Perfect. And then also too, taking into consideration, because if there is a city, if there is the canopy for a tree, because that should be taken into consideration as well as far as square footage. So that's something to look into. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that the amount of water is going to start saying you have drought resistant plants?
I don't see it not
I can see
happening.
that coming.
Mhm.
It's either that or they're gonna say cut back or shut off the water like they did in LA.
Mhm.
Your plant's just done. And I used to catch my laundry water to water my trees in a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah.
Because we had to shut off the sprinklers.
They don't want you doing that.
Pardon?
They don't want you doing that. Because the more you put back into the system, the more we'll want to pull out. It's backwards, but that's the way it works. So
I
everything that goes
understand
back
that,
into the
but-
system, we can pull that much more out of the meter.
But if it's going into a plant, it's not going back into the system.
it always goes back. Plant doesn't use 100% of the water that you put up in that.
But it's in the ground. How does it go back?
Percolates all the way back down to the water.
Oh, I see.
Would that work?
It's actually higher.
Somewhere.
Somewhere.
Some-
So I get it well.
Good to know.
Can you put any type of plants in? I'd sort of like to see if we can cut down on plants that produce allergies. I've run into more people this year, myself included, who are developing allergies around this place. Mesquite is driving me crazy.
We can't do the olive trees, and that's real big on allergies, so.
Well,
That's for the city.
They're all over the place.
Well, you can't put it in, you can put it down.
You can have an olive tree, just not a fruity, a fruit bearing olive tree.
You can't have palm trees.
You can't have palm trees in this.
Palm trees.
They're for the palm trees.
In Providence.
Palm trees.
No
Yeah,
palm trees.
the guy behind me's got 6 palm trees. Yeah, well, and I was told
If they're not
that he
allowed.
was deployed and he was a hardship, and so they let him keep it because he got the house like that. And so now they're huge. And they're,
Those are
you know,
ones that
they're
got-
like this.
Got
Now
approved
they're
on
there.
variance.
It could be, I don't know how long ago this was, so I could,
That was in 2013.
yeah. So it
Yeah,
could very well
I
be.
know there was a variance on somebody, they have them in pots in the ground.
These are not pots.
No, I'm talking about.
In the, no, that's right here in,
Okay, so.
yeah, I
okay,
know
so
which
that's
one
not
you're,
the
no,
one?
no, no,
Okay,
no, no,
all
no,
right, I know they came and got variance on it. Okay.
Now I've got scorpions from those things.
Oh,
Scorpions are brought in from California, those palm trees.
yeah,
I thought palm trees, all palm trees were banned.
they are.
They are.
There and
Somebody put
then-
them in, they're on their pool. And here we are. The guy's coming tomorrow, spray for scorpions.
It's basically for palm rats.
Rats too.
Palm rats live at the top.
the top of the trees.
Uh-huh.
And if you have palm fronds,
You
oh
have-
my
you have
goodness.
Palm
Yep.
trees, you're encouraging palm rats, and they didn't want that. I'm sure that's one of the reasons why 600 homes? Are there going to be some people who maybe not follow the rules? Absolutely. No way of getting around it, unfortunately. So
Okay. So,
it's up to your individual community to enforce that initially.
it's not like-
And good luck with that.
The Master Association does enforce that too, at least
Is where this guy.
sporadically.
And he's the one that's bombs bursting in the air.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They enforce it beyond the written rules. The things that are actually shrubberies, dwarf palmettos.
Palmettes.
Oh,
I don't know.
It's a small shrub.
Just like this big?
Yeah, that's what all the other guys.
Oh,
But they still enforce against that.
So they
Or
don't.
at least they do with mine.
Is that really a tree?
No, and that was my argument, but they ignored that.
well, you can do what I did once. I threatened to kill Gary.
I don't think I'd get away with that.
Yeah.
I said, if you ever give me another violation on this, I'm gonna kill you. And I turned around and walked out. And he never bothered me again.
Pretty sure it was a little different, across a little different.
Yeah.
It was shortly after that, they transferred him somewhere else.
So,
All right, so approve the review minutes from the June 2nd meeting.
Motion to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I haven't received any recommendations for the communication strategy, so I don't know if everyone is able to look at it. If you guys had any feedback that I could provide in our committee update to the board.
Is this the digital communications policy? Oh, I have a lot of. My biggest problem is the grammatical errors and misspellings. Well, hey,
No, I agree with you, it's driving me nuts.
it does. I'm very hard over on this. When anybody, an organization, be it Providence, whatever, puts out something, they should have as many people read it as possible, because I go through this and I read, and every time I see a slew of, it just aggravates me. Also, it's 3.5 pages and it's very repetitious. I mean, you could say what needs to be said, I think, in a little page and a half. And they like to keep saying the same thing, adopted this digital policy in order to regarding the operation and administration of the Association of Digital Communications, and that keeps going through, and it says the same things over and over. Yeah, the idea is not to drown people in words, it's to just make it basically, what it is, what you need it for. And do we still have the welcome packet? I thought you can then.
Nope, we no longer have a welcome packet.
We hadn't sent any out for like a year anyway.
Okay, well, we can take the welcome packet out of this.
Also, before you go on, there's a new law that just got passed that goes into effect. I think this was either at the beginning, no, this goes into effect at the beginning of the year, I think. That literally it says that any notice required to be given by the association under this chapter and any communication from or other information provided by the association has to now be mailed and emailed to everybody in the association. So it's a vaguely written, really broad law, but if you take it literally, anything we put out, like on the Providence Gazette, anything we put out on the Facebook page has to be somehow mailed to everybody in the association. So it's really going to either vastly increase our mailing costs or we're going to have to cut back on our communications. But we're going to have to wait for interpretation of this because it's insane as written.
like they're gonna open their mail and read it.
Well, I mean, like the postcards we get now are perfect, you know exactly what it is.
Right.
You don't get this envelope and say, is this a violation notice? I'm just gonna throw that away so it goes away. I mean, as soon as you see that postcard, it's just right there in your face. You can either choose to ignore it or not.
Yeah, this goes into effect October 1st.
October 1st.
Yeah.
And it says we have to communicate by
Any
email.
information that the association puts out.
Yeah.
Has to be mailed to everybody and then emailed to everybody who has opted into the email system.
So you don't have to do both. You either.
No, you have to do
have
both
to.
now.
You do have to.
Yeah,
Which is repetitious and a waste of.
yes, it's, and hugely
It's just like
expensive if we do the, if
property
we want
owner
to put out much
informing
information.
your renters of what changes.
I imagine that'll probably be changed after enough complaining.
That hasn't been passed yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
past
does.
design.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the,
Is this from the state, the city, or what?
The state.
The state.
Is part of that RSA?
Yep.
yeah, well, it will be in October.
Yes.
This is from the state that only state legislature only meets every other year.
Yeah, there's other provision that we have to have, we now have to have a website that has, it actually says every document related to the association has to be on the website. Yeah, don't know what that means, really, but, and we also have to make it available to pay your assessments on the web, which is not a bad thing either.
That's good.
That's gonna have to be by first of next year.
1st of January, when it goes into effect. Yeah.
I thought it was January. That provision is January. The law has several changes, and there's like 3 different dates for the different provisions.
Well, if you want, these are some of my, yellow, circle, all this.
Yep, I want it all.
Yeah,
So
no,
that
I really do, and they talk about regarding the operation and administration of the association's digital communications, which they never really talk about. Just that we will be having digital communications, but they don't talk about how it works, they don't talk about administering it. And then to opt in to receive publications and correspondence digitally, and then they have login, blah, blah, blah. To opt out of receiving publications and correspondence digitally, then they repeat the same thing they had before. You don't need to repeat everything.
People are slow.
This was written by someone who was assigned it as a project and had to write something. It's like a high school assignment.
I know high school people, I know some high
Yeah.
school people who could write better.
But they just had to fill up space, though. That's my impression of a lot of these documents.
Well, that's what people wanted, they think the more you write, the better it is. No, the more you write, the more confusing it becomes. And they can't spell, and they don't know grammar, which is not surprising. Nobody teaches spelling and grammar anymore. So my recommendation is this needs to be reworked.
Okay, so why don't you give me what you have? I disseminate it to everybody. Everybody can look at it, come to a consensus if they want to provide that in.
And you can submit a detailed revision of it as you'd like.
Okay.
If you want to go through it,
All right.
rewrite, rework.
Because I just went and circled everything. I didn't want to be the upstart for a change and rewrite it. I didn't think that, but I can do that in a week.
That's fine too.
Okay. I have, while we're on the subject.
I motion to approve that.
Second it. All those in favor? Aye. It's your job now. Thank you.
Hey, listen, that's how I made my living.
I know, that's why I motion to approve. I know you're a smart lady over there.
Yes, because that's how I made my living, is providing information to a lot of people. So I'm good, and I'm very good at it.
When can I have that by?
I know you are.
When can I have that by?
Um,
Tomorrow? Perfect. Trying to get this board packet done. Thank you. You said you want stuff to do, Sherry, there you go.
Okay.
You're
you want
busy.
it tomorrow?
Yep, that'd be
Okay,
great.
you get it tomorrow.
Okay, awesome.
How about the
Pressure.
Providence Master Homeowners Association social media policy?
So so in my last email, I told you guys that well, did you want them to review that, Phil?
Sure.
There you go, Sherry,
I mean,
another
I
project.
really think we should have this, the policy should probably be combined into one policy. I
The
don't see why
digital
we have
and
a digital
social.
communications and then a separate social media policy.
Because social media is digital too.
Right, so just do it all in one policy.
I'll give it a shot, but it has to be done a little differently, but yeah. Okay, that means you may get it Thursday.
That's fine.
No, March Thursday.
I'm like, thank you, yes. Perfect. It's okay. So board meeting's on Tuesday, right? Yeah, Tuesday. So Friday, Monday?
I can probably do tea, right?
Well, we're not gonna be able to adopt it before we know what the new law means anyway.
Right.
But
Okay, you
can
got
look
time.
at it.
But yeah, but you can look, yeah,
We
you
look
can
at
still,
it,
yeah, we can
which is
still look
good.
at it,
If you have
absolutely.
That's fine.
Yeah, because then you can make any.
Committee adjustments that we need
Yeah.
to, and add any revisions.
Or maybe we could make some suggestions to those, changes.
Okay,
Cool. Thanks, Sherry.
yeah, thank you, Sherry.
Okay, the community survey. So I know Todd put something together which was provided to the committee, and then Larry put some numbers together for lifestyle. So that is in the handouts that were presented to you all today, as well as the community survey.
And my apologies for the spelling, even though I circled it last time, I failed to correct the spelling of activities. I will fix it for sure.
No, my point is, everybody makes boo-boos,
Yeah.
even I make the occasional boo-boo.
But I circled it last meeting and didn't fix it. That's,
But you really should get as many eyes as you can on anything we write. Because I've seen the 8th person reading something and say, oh, there's a typo here. So that's my only
I'll
thing.
have my wife read it. She reads everything backwards to double check spelling. I will say that I really like Todd's survey. It covers a lot of different areas and topics, but it takes away from the question of whether or not owners in Providence are willing to have a portion of their current contributions go to fund activities within the community. I tried to narrow it down as best as possible to those events that I felt were the most widely attended. Adding too many events that, given the fact that we don't have a full-time person handling this, means we're going to have to get get our management staff as well as volunteers to try and provide the necessary support to have these events going on. So I narrowed it down to these 5, and at the end, which I did take that from Todd's survey, was asking them to circle the amount that they felt they would be willing to contribute to ongoing activities within Providence. The results may come back where the majority of the people say 0. Their results may come back somewhere in the $2 to $3 a month range. We really don't know, and that I think is the purpose of the survey, and will provide the information to the board in making future budget decisions, because there's some indication that maybe we could just get by with no activities and no events. But I've not seen any signals yet that the budget amounts that are currently not spent during the fiscal year will be refunded to any of the owners within the community. And that kind of concerns me, is if we budget something, we have the money there, and the board is reluctant to pursue with any of these activities, we're not getting any of our money back. That concerns me. So this gives the owners an opportunity to voice their opinions to the board, yes or no, spend money, and then the board can make the final decision. But to incorporate these pages in with Todd's survey is going to make a survey, I think, that is going to be so long that people are going to say, yeah, I'm not going to fill this stuff out.
It's already too long.
This is like,
This is
too much information.
Right.
So both, I think, would be outstanding standalone surveys. Todd's survey, I think, would be something that maybe we should consider in the future after the board makes decisions concerning whether or not there's going to be ongoing budget, line item budget for Providence Master Association activities. If the answer from the board is no, we're not, then I think that would be well reflected within Todd's survey as to whether or not you feel the board is going in the right direction for Providence Master Association. So I think this one should be the first survey. Keep it as short and simple as possible. I tried to put a description that I copied from previous postings online for each one of these different activities. So that's my recommendation.
I want to know how we plan on executing these surveys. Is this going to be mailed? Is this going to be online? What is this going to be? Because last company I worked for, we did a lot of surveys. We very rarely cracked 10% on anything. And that was after repeated reminders. I don't want to see us Like, putting out-
10% would be more than we've ever had.
Right, that's what I mean, and that, we
Absolutely.
were, I mean, we were very proactive. We were putting this thing out there, putting a reminder out there, we had project managers and staff contacting people, hey, can you please fill out the survey, and at that, we only got 10%. My fear is if somebody gets this, that's
Okay,
immediately,
showing.
it's tops.
Uh.
It's immediately going in the trash. You're lucky to get 50 responses or 100 responses out of this, it's too long.
Yeah, I think it just has to be short and sweet.
Right, but that's why I'm asking,
And-
what's our mechanism? That's
I thought we
because,
were mailing.
So there was a discussion of mailing, there was a
Well-
discussion of doing the Survey Monkey. You said-
Because not everybody's
We're gonna
on.
have to mail it now,
Well.
if it's after October.
Right.
yeah. Because I'm asking
Yeah.
because has anybody looked at cost mailing versus a survey monkey that you can send out an email reminder?
Well, the association does have a subscription with Survey Monkey, I think it's like $400.
That's
for
what
the
we use in
year.
the past, right?
Mhm.
So we just put the notice in the Gazette, and then people go online and fill it out.
I mean, that way we could also send out a reminder, hey,
Right.
this is
It's gonna
closing
go
on
out.
this date. If you'd like to participate in the survey, please,
Please.
if we do it by October.
Yeah.
That's all. Even that being said though,
Yeah, no, we don't
This-
want to
this is
send.
too long, and I
That's
also
my first
in
thing.
a survey, I don't like leading questions.
You do it right away. you-
Yeah, but this can be combined, to be sure.
Yeah, it can be short.
So, and the project that we really were working on was regarding activities.
Okay.
So I agree with what Larry said, I think we need to send the activities one out first. And we can do that monkey thing. And
Like,
get feedback. Oh, it's called, what is it called?
Survey Monkey?
Survey.
Oh,
And it comes out.
Oh, yeah, right.
And,
When I get it to work.
get that, and then we can get our answers as to what we're looking at on the activities.
By the end of the year.
And then that's when the board can decide if we're gonna continue to do just maybe these so many activities.
It will help them with their budgeting process.
Right.
It's really all we,
And then-
is all, really the only goal that I wanted to, try and accomplish.
Tell me, why, it seems like everything's being cut back. We used to have, I remember Jody, was it? Joe, that did all this stuff, and they always came out really nice, and now you're throwing it on the community.
We used to not have Huckleberry Park. That vastly increased our expenses, because we spent
Because
really,
it seemed like things were there,
Right,
and
right,
now we're over.
we had more money, because with the same budget,
Okay.
that we spent several $1 million building Huckleberry Park, we now have to insure it, we have to maintain it, we have to secure it, we have to water it, which are all huge expenses.
So we're insuring that part?
The deal we have is,
City.
It is a city
it is a city park. The city leases the land basically from the Bureau of Land Management. The city has a deal with us where they generously allow us to spend
park.
everything to build the park, everything to maintain the park. We have all the liability for anything that happens in the park,
Oh, but they can call it a city park.
but we have to keep it open to everybody to see.
So I knew we were,
I can sit over here.
I know feel on land, they're going to line fee. I know that the city has a RPG lease, and that we built it, we maintain it, but we're also paying insurance on it, more liable.
And we have to pay liability insurance for anything that happens there, because unless the city does something, I can't remember the exact word, it's either negligent or grossly
Right, right.
I was
negligent,
gonna say that.
then we have to, we're responsible. Now, we can, after 10 years, we can get it back if we want to.
So, but you also cut the budget too, and cut the events, the number of
I
events.
think that would allow that.
Can we have one of those?
Well, no,
No.
the budget actually, the 2020 budget for events was less than the 2019 budget.
No,
The
but
2021 budget was less
the
than.
board, because I was listening to that.
Yes.
Yeah, you and Kate were particularly interested in getting rid of most of the events because you said we didn't need the events.
Well, I'm in favor of getting rid of all the events where not everyone can participate, but we have to pay, or converting those to the participants pay the entire cost.
Okay, but that was, initially, it was, well, we'll get rid of all the events, so I think,
Well, it was get rid of all the events until we get our finances in order.
yeah, well, who knows, yeah. Wow, I'm not sure that's the most.
That's everybody, I'm the most hard on events at all, because it's my belief that most people in the association don't care
They
about
don't.
events at all.
You know.
They'd rather have their dues lower and not have the events, because the majority of people still have not downloaded the traditions card.
Speaking of finances, at the next board meeting, are we going to find out what's going on with finances? Because it wasn't very clear at the last board meeting.
There will be a treasurer's report, I don't know what it will be at this one.
Because she wasn't getting,
We've
she
had,
wasn't getting feedback from Arizona or something.
we've had problems, we've rejected the unaudited financials they've given us for the last 6 months or so, because
6 months.
yeah, we haven't approved anything since December, because there's
There's not.
errors, and which is why we directed them to hire an accountant to have on staff on site here instead of having to go to the
Okay.
corporate accountants in Arizona. We don't have an accountant yet, do we?
Yesterday.
Okay.
So.
See, that's what I don't understand is we've never had an accountant, and we seem to have reconciled everything and listening to people. Finance is not my bag, and I'll be the
No,
first to
mine
say
either.
it. You know, I don't balance my checkbook. But I've heard people say that the finances, for some reason, they don't match in the beginning, but when everything is reconciled, it all matches. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know, but they know more about finances than I do.
I defer to Katie Hedlund on this because she does it for a living. She does the finances for a lot of associations in her business.
Well, I don't know, but it seemed like an awful lot that we've never had an accountant. Now, this is just me thinking that we've never had an accountant, and to pay what, $70,000, 80? I mean, how much does an accountant cost?
I don't know what we budgeted for that. We have, I don't
70
think we have.
70.
70 for the total cost.
for that,
The annual,
The-
we're talking annually?
I mean, for the
I don't know.
For the salary and the CCMC's cut.
I don't know what the bill rate for, but I know it was 70,000 as far as the salary that the board said.
Which is why we balanced that by getting rid of the lifestyle.
Well,
Yeah, but there's additional cost savings that you're just ignoring, and that is the revised courtesy patrol, which is gonna save $300,000 a year. So please don't tell me that by adding an accountant at 70,000 plus benefits, let's raise it up to 100,000, that we need to cut all activities, because the numbers just don't add up.
Hey Phil, can you guys hear me?
We're not talking about cutting the activities permanently.
He's trying to talk.
It's
We're
Jennifer.
talking
Hold on a
about paying off the loan. We're getting the reserves back up to where they should be. And then we'll consider, this is me, I don't speak for the whole board here, and then I'll consider reinstating some of the activities.
Okay, what was,
you just
what's
said
the,
that I'll
Hold on,
consider.
hold on.
You're right, I said I'll
Hold
consider
on.
because I don't speak for the whole board.
Hold on one second, hold on one
So it's
second,
just you.
That's
hold
me.
on one second. Jennifer, go ahead.
Thank you. So I hear everybody talking about the activities, and I see a lot of things on the social media web, on our Facebook. We have multiple pages, and a lot of people are for activities. However, we're trying to be fiscally responsible, right? So we said that, well, why don't we get people to be able, other companies to help promote and pay for and offset the cost. So I think what Phil is talking about, I heard you say, Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about those events that everyone pays for, but only a minimal amount of people can attend. And at that time, we had COVID and things couldn't happen. So it just doesn't make logical sense. It's not saying that we can't have activities in the future, but we need to be smart. And if companies want to help offset our costs, or if homeowners want to pay to enter an event, then yes, let's have one. Additionally, we should look at our counterparts just north of us at Sky Canyon, where they have tons of free events. So we should be looking at things that everybody can attend that are minimal costs, so that way we do have reserves. And that's all I wanted to say on that. Thank you so much.
let me ask Phil a couple things. The reserve study, do you believe that was prepared by a professional company who is in the business of preparing reserve studies for HOAs?
Yes,
And they have an unbiased, unemotional approach to resolving finances, long-term financials for HOAs.
yes.
And given the $1.1 million shortfall, what was their recommendation to the changes in the contributions to our reserve fund?
Their recommendations keep us below 50% for a couple of years. And
Let's talk the length of the reserve study. What was their recommendation to get us up to the recommended amount?
I don't remember the number of years, but
It was less than $4,000 a month. So let's raise it to $50,000 a year. So you're saying because we need to increase the amount of our reserve contributions by $50,000 a year, we're saving $300,000 in our courtesy patrol. We need to eliminate $120,000 in activities. And I'm just saying, those numbers don't add up. And we are currently making our loan payments.
Because it's my belief that we should put in more than the reserve study recommends.
I understand.
Because they have us at a very low percentage for the next few years.
That's your personal opinion,
Correct.
Not the opinion of licensed professionals who do this for a living. That's all I'm saying. That's your personal opinion versus licensed professionals. And I'm saying
the licensed professionals are saying that to get us up to a low percentage.
okay.
It's still, there are several ways you can fund reserves. I can't remember the names off the top of my head.
All right.
Threshold, full, and threshold, fully funded. There's another one.
The one where it's barely funded.
Cash
at all.
flow.
The one that gets you
Cash
in trouble.
flow, cash.
At the end of their survey, adding an additional $50,000 brings our reserve account up to, if I remember the numbers correctly, over $3 million. Now, if you feel $3 million is insufficient, then the board should make a recommendation on, in addition to the $50,000 a year to be added to the current reserve contributions, how much more do we need than that? Another $50,000 to make it an additional $100,000 over the.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I'm hoping we do.
Okay, so then we still have.
Well, I'm not saying 50, I'm going to limit to 50,000. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, so I can't say what the numbers that I've.
We're just talking around numbers here.
Right.
So if you're saying an additional $100,000 a year contribution to the reserve fund would get us to that ideal level or the minimum
Well,
percentage.
I'm saying get us up to 70, 75%.
Within about 10 years, I think that's very aggressive.
Yes.
You think what's aggressive?
Getting our reserve account instead of over the extended 30-year period of time as the recommendations from the company that did the research study, that we do that within 10 years rather than 30 years.
My position is I want us to get us up to at least over 70%.
I understand.
Before we spend money on these things
That's what the survey.
that are not
This
responsibilities
is
of
what the
homeowners.
survey should tell you and the rest of the board,
Right.
whether or not they're willing to spend the $124,000 a year for activities as opposed to throwing it in the reserve account.
It will tell me if people want to do that. I'm not necessarily going to say just because a certain number of people want it, unless it's an overwhelming majority, which is why I'm dubious that this is going to change anybody's mind on this survey, because I think, like Paul says, we're going to get very low participation.
It would be a random survey, and
It's not random if the respondents are self-selected. It's not random in any way.
if only 2 neighborhoods responded, then it's not.
No,
a random survey.
if everybody who responds to the survey chooses to respond, when you're doing statistics and surveys, random is you call certain people and they have to respond. You can't have self-selected respondents. That's like a CNN online poll. It means
Let's
nothing.
just say that the results will be random. Can we do that?
No, the results won't be random.
It will be whoever.
In a
responds
statistical
to the
sense, there's
survey.
nothing random about this. It's as useful as we can get.
Okay.
But it's not going to be random.
So
So
the indication I
everybody's
get
together.
from you is that the board is not going to.
I'm only speaking for myself.
Okay.
I don't speak
So
for the entire.
regardless of what the owners tell you, you're still going to maintain your position of not approving any social activities until our $1.1 million is brought up to in the account and the loan is paid off.
Yes, basically, I want the reserve to be 70%. My position is that entertainment is not a core function of the association. It's not even authorized by our documents or the law specifically.
I understand that.
Well, sometimes,
And if what I would do too, if people want that, if they're saying, okay, I'm willing to pay $5 a month,
Yep.
fine. Everyone else's dues will be reduced by $5 a month. You can continue to pay that. People who don't want to pay, don't
No,
go.
that's reduced. And let's take one activity as an example. Let's take the 4th of July celebration. Let's round the numbers up to $60,000 to budget for that activity. 2 years ago, we had what, 3,000 people show up?
No, it was more than that.
But there's no control over it, even if those are members of Providence that show up.
Those were people from all communities.
And
I understand
outside
that.
of Providence.
I
And
understand.
even
So
the
let's say
people
there's
that were outside of
5,000.
Providence were paying money to enter into it, so it was still a moneymaker for the association. It
So
wasn't
let's
like
say
the
there's
association
5,000
was
people that show up.
Wait, this is a moneymaker.
You said people that came, that did
Oh,
not live in
oh,
Providence,
that buy
they had to
something.
pay, yeah, they had to pay to get
They
in.
had to pay to get in.
They
If you
couldn't.
Okay, so we can do that. We can have everybody pay to get in.
Okay, that, I'm getting to that point. Okay, 60,000, 5,000 show up, it's $12,000 per person. So I would like you,
I think that's all.
That's, paying $12,000.
$12 per person.
$12.
Okay.
$12 per person, sorry. So let's imagine you sitting at the entrance table and somebody from Providence who's been paying all of their HOAs shows up, wife and 2 kids. You're going to tell them that they need to pay $48 to enter in and enjoy the activities when they, in the past, have had that included in the payments that they've been making. And now all of a sudden it's like, no. And they go, well, like, are you going to give me my $48 back?
Yes, I want to lower the dues back to $150 a quarter.
I think it's okay that the dues have gone up. I've lived here for a really long time, since the beginning, and it's okay that they go up.
They are going to go up as things get older, they're
Yeah,
gonna break,
inflation.
and we're gonna.
My house has gone up.
Right.
Yeah.
But it went up, we didn't have to do that. We could have taken other measures and avoided that.
Well, I think
It's
one
okay
thing
that
you're,
it happens.
I think one thing you're
Well,
forgetting.
it's okay with some people. Some people don't want to pay more because they really, all they want is for the association to leave them
Yeah, but
alone.
I also.
But at the same
Very
token, your
expensive.
reserve study calls for inflation as well on costs that you have to provide for your amenities.
But
Yeah.
I don't see inflation is part of activities that are not required.
But we don't have
The
to
amenities
provide
are not
activities.
An
And
activity.
a majority of people do not participate in the
It
activity.
doesn't make any difference if the majority participate. One of the things I found out about Providence, I've been here almost 7 years, is that the people with kids, I don't have kids, so I don't go to most of the activity. I would love to have gone to the circus, but I would have felt
That was
guilty.
really cool.
Was that I would have felt guilty if some kid couldn't go because I went. But when you talk to people, why did they buy here in Providence? Just about everybody I've talked to over these 7 years have said because of the events and the courtesy.
Nobody I've talked to has said
Well,
that,
then you're
except
talking
people
to the
at
wrong.
these, well, no. My wife's a realtor, she's got clients, she sells a lot of houses up here. Nobody asks about the events, nobody cares that she has.
But like me,
So-
I hang out with like-minded people. The people I generally know, they enjoy the events. I stopped going to a lot of the events even before COVID or anything else because my kids are getting old. So I don't necessarily feel like I need to bring them, but I don't feel like I need to necessarily,
Lower your dues.
well, it has nothing to do with the dues. To a point, I'm with. Bill on-
Assessments, you all, assessments,
Right,
not dues.
assessments. All right, to a point,
Same thing, we get stuck in the thing about it.
To a point, I'm in agreement with Phil on fiscal responsibility.
Exactly.
There is stuff that, like, I don't personally enjoy paying for a public park and taking out a loan for it.
Right.
I don't.
A loan, by the way, that should have had 80% homeowner approval before it was approved, but the board ignored that provision of
but-
CCNR.
But when you're talking about the reason, this goes against what Phil said, the reason I moved up here personally, me and my family did a lot of research because we moved straight from Massachusetts to here. We researched a lot of areas in Las Vegas. We moved here for the activities, for the neighborhood, for the community feel of it.
And if you don't want it, you
Right.
should have gone somewhere else, right?
Right.
Right.
And
So-
the one,
No, because the activities are not written into the declaration. You're not guaranteed those things.
No, you're not.
Well, you don't have to write anything into the declaration.
No, the declaration is the basic thing that gives any authority at all to the association to do anything. Without that, you have no authority to do anything.
These.
It's like,
Paul,
Why do you have to have activities that cost $60,000?
Amber, can you give us a second, Paul?
you don't have to work to the extent you seem to be. because my position is much harder than anybody else, I think, on the board, and I'm not gonna be, I don't think I'm gonna get enough support to cancel things entirely, even if I wanted to do that, because I'm not opposed to things like the 4th of July once we have the money to do it. The big events.
I mean, I personally think a lot of people enjoy the opportunity to go to the events.
Right, but we can have events that don't cost money too.
Exactly.
We're gathering at the park, everybody brings food.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost a thing.
We can have a lot of different types of events.
Or low
It's
cost.
like you have to buy a sense of community. Bothers me too.
But I don't think anybody, I never thought that we were buying a sense of community. I thought the community would just do, I don't know, I never got.
But you're also spending money on behalf of, for most of the events, not for the big events like the 4th of July, on behalf of very few people who attend these events.
But that's their choice.
No, the bulk of the events that we have had in the past have limits of 30, 40 people. So even if everyone's assessments go to pay for that, even though everyone cannot attend it.
It's also a choice for them not to go though.
But they're paying, even if they want to go, not everybody can go.
Yeah, well, I have to pay my
What-
taxes too,
what-
but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go.
That's a whole other discussion too. But I don't see why anybody would object to, if I want to go to paint night, I pay the entire cost of that. The alternative is what you're saying is, I think my neighbors should subsidize my entertainment.
Understand.
Exactly.
To me, it's more selfish. I get accused of being selfish for wanting to cancel events. To me, it's more selfish for people to say, I want to go to this thing, I want you to have this, but I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay the whole cost, I want my neighbors to pay.
But
That's why
let's
the
not
paint,
say
that's
that.
why the paint event isn't on the survey.
Right.
So
We've
it's only
removed
those
the-
activities that,
That's like me
Yeah.
saying, I've lived here for 12 years, sorry. And the person who's lived here for 1 year, I've put more money into this community, so I should get more things out of it than the person who lived here for 1 year. Or maybe that 1 year person should back pay all those 12 years that I've
I
been here.
don't
You know,
follow
like,
that at all.
that's,
That's exactly what you've been talking about.
yeah.
No,
yeah,
it's not.
It is.
You guys you don't understand what I'm saying.
Sorry, Larry.
Well, then it's your
Anytime
fault.
you want to take control of the meeting and get back to the agenda, it's fine too. This is a waste of time.
let's get back to,
What I'm
let's get back to
what
the
I'm saying
survey
is,
as opposed to the discussions that we're having that really should be a discussion from the finance committee first and then goes to the board. Our proposal is let's provide both of them with more information to make better decisions than with no information at all. And that's really all the survey is. I think we're getting deeper into the topic than we really need to because none of it's going to be resolved here.
Right.
At best, it will be resolved at the board meeting once they review the preliminary recommendations from the finance committee. So this is information on whether or not this information should be pertinent to the decisions made at the finance committee and their recommendations to the board. So let's talk about whether or not we believe that this is something that we should propose to the board as a survey, and hopefully we can get it done before we're required to do a mass mailing to everybody.
Yes.
And I will correct the activities spelling portion.
I second that motion. Aye.
Aye.
Are we gonna have these numbers back checked?
They were.
They were?
Mhm.
I will correct it and I will send you the word. And is it okay if I send it to you to review and comments on verbiage and spelling?
Yes, you gotta be like.
I will do that, definitely. I will do that tomorrow.
You're busy, Sherry.
I'm sorry, I can't, like I said, I made my living doing this, and I believe it reflects badly on an organization, including Providence, if things you send out have misspelled words and complete grammar you can't understand it.
As you can tell from my survey, spelling's not my strong suit, numbers is.
Spelling is not my strong suit, my computer corrects me.
Felicia,
Yeah.
our subscription to SurveyMonkey, is that unlimited or is this sort of survey like gonna cost?
It's unlimited. It's for the year.
Alright.
Yeah. I just got something for us to renew it and I haven't done
We
anything
will
with it
need to
yet.
have some kind of communication and so people know it's not.
That it's coming out, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'd be probably a campaign around it before we disseminate.
That sounds good.
Okay, Traditions Partner Program offering. So we talked about this at our last meeting. As far as our Traditions Partners, I did provide the tiers, what they offered, who they were, how long they've been a Traditions Partner. We have reached out asking them specifically if they want to roll over into next year without being charged. We asked them if they wanted to go down a tier because they're not being offered with some of the publications and stuff like that, but just going down a tier and paying less. So we did get some feedback. Some of the Traditions Partners we have not heard back from, but we have started with that conversation. And I think about 4 or 5 of them requested a refund, and then about 3 of them requested that they just be rolled over into next year's program at no cost. So we did provide that just went out to the board in their board packet so that they do have that information. But that was something that we wanted to see if NAC would be able to provide some background on it. But since we didn't hear anything and I was on a time crunch.
So the only thing I have here that I received in the email was just a listing.
So at the last meeting, they wanted a list, and that was the list that was provided.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it was just a list of the
Okay,
names and
so
who they are and what they
there's
do.
no pricing structure in here?
No, because it was provided at the last meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you
Sorry.
think does that left pandemic had something to do with it?
They didn't necessarily leave. They just haven't gotten back to us as far as which way they want to go, whether they want to go down a tier or if they want to be enrolled next year at no cost, or if they want a refund.
What exactly do the tiers mean? What does it mean?
So there's
Rose,
rose
arbor,
tier.
bench.
So it's just a matter of, it's very basic. They kind of, they only get a mention here, there. If it's an arbor tier, then they'll have a mention in the Gazette. They'll have a mention in the welcome packet. They have FaceTime with our residents typically at events and stuff like that. But since we're no longer offering events, since we no longer have the welcome packet, we were in breach of contract with those specific vendors. So if they were in the rose tier, then we're going to drop them down to an arbor. We've already started doing mentions in the Gazette for every one of them so that they are getting that advertisement to the Providence community. And then, like I said, if they wanted a refund or if they wanted to, just enroll next year without having to pay the participation cost, which I think is like $100 or something like that, then they don't have to do that. They just automatically are enrolled for 2020.
Was the welcome packet eliminated because of the cost?
Yes, I believe so.
Well, it was $4.25.
And because we hadn't been really sending them out.
Why?
I don't know. But when we asked how much had been spent the last couple of years.
It was, that was
Nothing.
only what print to order was able to give us.
Yeah,
But-
print to order was, we didn't get good information on it. It was hard to tell what was happening.
So with the vendor, we asked for how many welcome packets were sent out from their entity. And I don't know if it was just because of COVID and they weren't tracking it, but they were only able to find like 2 invoices where they actually charged the association for it. So it could have been free, very well, and we didn't pay for it because I'm the one that typically codes invoices and I didn't see any invoices for welcome packets. And I went back looking at all of the payables to print to order, and majority of it was just for the post. So I don't know if they were just giving us, not necessarily a credit, but since we do pay so much for the post, not necessarily charging for the welcome packets. But welcome packets were being sent out.
So the Traditions Partners was sending information to new owners.
No, so we would just make mention of the Traditions Partners in the welcome packet so that homeowners knew if you needed your eyebrows waxed, you can go to this person because now you're a Providence resident and they do offer some type of discount for their services.
Well, Brighton has created a welcome packet that is all PDF related and is available to new owners. All they need to do is send our community manager an email and they send off a zip file that's got absolutely everything in it, including the Traditions information. And it doesn't cost anything other than the initial setup costs that I was the one who put the whole package together. It's got everything in it, including paint guidelines and landscape guidelines, CCNRs, bylaws. It's got everything in it that every single document you would want or need to know about living in Providence is all included in one zip file and doesn't cost anything.
We can also put that on the website.
Sure.
put a welcome package or anything we want people to know on the website, and just send people a link to the website.
Well, you've got to do something. I think it's cheesy, frankly, to cut off and say, we don't need a welcome.
I haven't seen any evidence that anybody who's gotten a
I don't even remember.
welcome package. I never got a welcome package.
I got a welcome package. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
don't remember getting that.
I think the problem with the welcome package, it was too big and had too much stuff. So at Northern Terrace, we designed one that's only like 2 pages. And it just gives you basically the utilities, who you have to call to set up your utilities.
That we could easily do, put a couple pages on the website, with all that
Yeah, I mean,
information.
I think if people want a welcome package, do it themselves.
I got a PDF packet through my escrow, and it was well over 600 pages.
Yeah, that's all.
So,
your
but
government
that's all the
documents, they have
documents.
to-
That's every document, it was
Yeah.
budgets over.
They don't need that. All they need
For
to
the
know
last
is
3
that
years
the
and
energy-
everything else, so
Right.
I did request and receive a individual PDF, right, of things that I felt was pertinent. But I think if, like you said, Phil, if we were to put some individual line items on the website, you would like to request this specific information, traditional partners, here's the discounts you can get from local businesses. Somebody is interested in that, they click onto that link, down comes a PDF. And aside from the initial setup and maintenance as traditional partners change or whatever else, it doesn't require an awful lot of work and really no expense on the part of the HOA.
Right, up and maintain the website. And we're gonna have to have every document related to the website.
Or to
Or
the
to the
association
association,
on the
right,
website
right,
anyway.
That one, that takes effect on January 22,
January 23rd.
January 1st, 2022, that takes effect. So we have to have all that on the website.
Or politicians have been
Doing what? Besides
making
creating,
laws.
oh, but it just.
Well, and do we have people on staff that can do that?
So currently, what we have done is moved it in-house. CCMC, with any new homeowner, they do get a 1-sheet, welcome to the neighborhood, this is your account number, that type of deal. But to kind of make it more homey feeling, the on-site staff does, so long as we have a email address, because a lot of times when we send out the homeowner information sheet, homeowners don't fill it out.
Right.
So we can't send them anything because we don't know if they're gonna be on site or if this is an investment property or whatever the situation may be. So when we do get, we call it a blue sheet, but when we do get the blue sheet, and if there is an email address, we have now started to email the information such as Nevada Energy, Las Vegas Valley Water District, and all that. So our resident service administrator does do that, and she pulls the new or the new owner information from our or not from our website, but from our software system when we're a new owner.
So our property management for our HOA, recently, I think it's a couple months ago, told everyone if they had to contact them and give them an email address or some way to contact them for them to get their new gate code. And they had until the end of the month or they couldn't get in.
They can't do that.
But that's what they said.
They're
Because
violating,
there's so many new owners
yeah,
and some
they're
of
violating
them
the
are
law doing
renters.
that. Also, these laws apply to all the subs, of course, too. So if you have a sub that has 150 or more homes,
Now, they
you're
should
all gonna have
know
that
that,
into the
right?
websites for too.
They're a property management company, they should know.
Which
that.
property management company is it?
Level,
I haven't worked with them.
Level?
I've heard.
level property management company, they're on
Level,
That's their first
or
one.
something up to 215.
Well, everybody has to check in here, right? New owners?
What do you mean check-in?
Well, don't they have to come up here?
No, they don't.
Yeah. Well, see, Northern Terrace, they all have to go to Northern Terrace.
Well, that's
They're all
because
gonna
that's because you guys have a clubhouse. We don't have any amenities where a homeowner would have to come in and provide an ID to get access or a fob or something like that to access the clubhouse. So that's probably why they're going to Northern Terrace, is because they want access to the amenities.
And that's a great time to get all that information.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, that's why we designed this short little thing, give them the information and get the information we need from them, and they can fill it out right there.
I mean, typically when a new homeowner does come in and they're asking questions, you know, we do have them fill out a homeowner information sheet so that we do have their contact information and stuff like that. But at that point, it's either because they want more information or they're trying to make a payment and they just want all the options. And when they get a zip drive with 600 pages, they're not gonna look through everything in
Yeah.
particular to tell them what they're supposed to do and where it's supposed to go. A lot of times, new homeowners don't even know that they have 2 sub-associations. And so we see that a lot. Oh, I didn't even know that you guys were here. And they go delinquent because they're just so used to being in their sub-association and paying their sub-association. But they don't even think about the master association until they get some type of notification that, hey, you haven't made a payment.
Well,
Does an escrow tell them that?
Yeah.
They should,
Escrow, the
the realtor
realtor.
should let them know that. There's a bunch of people who have to mess up before that happens. It happens
Exactly.
a lot.
A lot.
Okay.
well, in the Northern Terrace one, I put in that after you check in with this, you also have to go and check in with Providence. They have a little paragraph, second paragraph, I think, is check in at Providence.
They're like, we are in Providence. I did check in.
Yeah, no, you have to go.
Seriously, it's serious because literally, you don't, it's amazing how many times we get on the phone and we're like, where do you live? Providence. Okay, we know you live in Providence, yes, but what sub-association? I don't know what you mean.
That one on that street.
That street, it's right there, but it's Providence, and it's like, okay, let's just get your address. Just give me your address, and I can help you from there.
Yeah.
But it happens more often than
No, I'm
not.
not surprised.
So people aren't used to it anymore. I wasn't, my first time here.
This is, I
My
think
cousins was, this, you can't do this, and you can't, you know.
I say, this is my first HOA and my last. I don't like HOA, nothing personal, but I just.
I don't live in one, so. it doesn't bother me.
See, I come from Maryland, we had exactly 2 HOAs in Maryland, so, you know.
Cool beans. Neighborhood updates, going on the horn.
Well, I guess I'll start. We had our asphalt done. We ended up towing 20 cars.
20?
Because they were on the street for the asphalt.
Yep. And they even went knocking on the doors, which we appreciated that the tow guys. And people wouldn't answer the doors, and so we just towed. But other than that, that went good, except for, you know, when you have all the cones and everything up, the big barrels, people moving them to drive through, so that's just where they are. Yeah, I know. Let's see what else. We're going to be, it's gonna be about in 4 months, but we went ahead and approved for changing out the LED lights.
Right.
And so we're looking forward to that. What else? Oh, we've got our enforcement parking company working with us and trying to get our parking situation. We've had people parking on their lawns. People
park on the lawn?
Oh, yes. Well, a lot of them have front yards that they can just park sideways.
They don't have their own, bushes.
Trees.
Oh, there are trees. They have trees and they have bushes, but they go over the bushes. Yeah, it's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we have also a lot of people that are parking in our red zones, parking in front of our mail slots, and the mailman hasn't been leaving mail. So we're working with them. We had a meeting with them, and now they're really doing a lot of things, and they've been towing all the cars in the red zones, and so, yeah. So not a lot of happy people with us. My husband says, make sure nobody knows you're on them. I don't want our cars.
So keep your mask on, keep it up.
Yes.
Maybe we should talk about a welcome package. Maybe we should be talking about an IQ package.
Yeah. And let's see, I think that's it for now.
Well, I think they're getting ready to paint. They're gonna paint curbs, yellow and red for the parking. They're going to be painting all of the wrought iron gates, that kind of thing. So that's coming up in our area.
Larry, you
Well,
do
in
have.
writing, we've got our board meeting coming up at the end of the month, and there's been a couple of great recommendations from the owners. We received a couple complaints from pigeon damage. We had someone in our neighborhood who was feeding pigeons, and it was kind of like a major attraction. And I think that has stopped because I've not seen the type of flux of pigeons flying through the neighborhoods as we have in the past, but that is something that was a recommendation that maybe the sub-HOA hire an outside company to trap the pigeons and remove them from our community. no food, no birds, simple thing. We just need to make sure that we find the people or person feeding them, which is actually against the ordinances of the city. So, and there are fines that are up to $1,000. We really don't want people fined. We would just like them to stop feeding these pests. They're beautiful. You want a bird, get a cage, put it in your house. There you go. The other things that we've had more solicitation from people from solar companies going around knocking on doors, and we've had some complaints from owners. So we will be looking at and approving, hopefully, and those solicitation signs that we put on the entry gates, and hopefully that will help us.
You're gated?
Probably not, but
They are.
Are you gated?
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
So they're trespassing over
What they do is they just wait until somebody comes through.
it. No, but I mean, you can have
Trespass.
it. Yeah, you don't have to pass a new rule to have them moved.
The sign will say no trespass.
Because then Providence has a rule against soliciting too, so they can be removed under Providence rule.
Go ahead, so we just
All
call.
can be called.
A marksman,
Courtesy patrol.
yeah, the police won't come to that. No, they won't.
The other thing is.
Or you can just tell them to leave yourself.
I think what would be a great idea is to purchase and install some suggestion boxes and put them in the vicinity. Actually, we have bulletin boards next to our mailboxes. Put a suggestion box there so that owners, if they find something that maybe they don't know who to email or call or whatever else, can write a simple note, drop it in the suggestion box, and it will be reviewed by the community management company as well as the board. So those are the things that we are looking at to hopefully will make some improvements within our community.
Do you know that there's a light out in front of your community, the tall fixture in your median?
Right now, where?
Right at your entrance,
I did not.
in the median, you have a light fixture.
Before the gate or after the gate?
It's before the gate.
I will double check that. I know that at one time we had one of the lights inside the gate that was taken.
Oh, no, yeah, I know,
to
yeah. To go out, yeah.
Come
No,
on.
It's completely out.
It's out?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. What you got in Northern Terrace?
Well, actually, the lady who fed the pigeons in Emory has disappeared, so maybe she's over here. No, I'm serious, she'd go out and she would throw all kinds of food out there, and the pigeons were just awful. And then she disappeared, and the pigeons disappeared with her.
Maybe the pigeons ate her.
Oh, gee.
We had somebody that actually put up a little kiddie pond and a little water fountain that ran off of the hose to give them water and baths and threw out bread.
so
It was like, yeah.
Oh, that's no good.
Well, let's see, in front of Emory, they planted new tree, they took down they pulled out all the old trees and shrubs, so they planted new ones. And there are new lights installed in one of the sub-associations down the road. There've been some problems with people going around trying cars,
What?
trying to get into cars that are outside
Okay.
in the driveway. A few other places trying, do some things like that. There was an incident in the park.
Sorry.
Somebody put it in our Northern Terrace blog. She got to the park and just in time to see two boys kill a rabbit.
Oh.
That they caught, and then they were sawing off a paw. So I don't know if that means, maybe we should, I don't know. Because once they start doing that, then they start working their way up the ladder.
Is that Huckleberry or Nickelback?
She just said the park, but I assume it's,
Inside.
Yeah, it's the new one.
yeah, because that's the one they usually, if they talk about Knickerbocker, don't mention it. I don't know, she kind of tailed off, but that's disturbing along, and then somebody saw there was a grave. Now, though, I think that was food around sub-associations.
There's been a bunch of that all over the Northwest.
But there was also there's something that I think Providence put out about, the hours, we do have a patrol again, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Is it all three shifts?
24/7.
It's 24/7.
24/7, because I haven't seen anything about it.
Have you seen the marksman pickups?
Oh,
They have a pretty busy.
I saw them here.
They actually, the truck is more apparent. They just
Oh,
have that light bar on top and stuff.
I haven't seen it.
And there are bicycles too.
But what I wanted to say was, Providence, and I was gonna print it out, and I did put out something about if you have a problem, at blah, Providence is open between blah, blah, after hours, call the police. And I look at it, and it so happened I had someone in my house who lives here in Providence. I said, do you know what after hours is? He said, I don't have a clue. What does that mean to people when you tell them to call the police after hours?
Where was that? Where did it say that?
It was on, and I couldn't find it again. It was something that popped up that Providence put out.
Because usually they put, if you have
It was on my.
if this is a real problem, call the police.
No, this just said, after hours, call the police. It's like, don't call us, call the police. But my question is, if you're gonna do something like that, give them a time frame. Don't just tell them after hours, because
Just let us know where that is.
Yeah, because I see everything that's disseminated, and the last thing that we said anything about after hours was when Securitas was terminated, and we provided them my work cell phone number to call after business hours.
Okay,
And it was 8 to 5, and it was, if it was after hours for emergencies, to contact the cell phone number, and then if it was an emergency, to contact either 311 or 911.
Yeah.
But it had the business hours of 8 to 5, that's what,
Yeah.
and after
Well, I
hours,
saw-
anytime was after 5 o'clock.
The one I saw did not have business hours. It just said call after hours. So you have to make sure you give.
Just find where that came from.
I'll see if I can find it again. My point is, you can't just say after hours, you've got to give people a time. Because when you get around to 4 AM, that's not after hours, it's that before hours. You just have to give them a time between, what time, when does Providence close?
5 o'clock,
Okay, so but then when do you open at 9?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. So anything between 5 PM and 8 AM, you call, not after hours. That is the one thing.
Next.
You all set?
I guess so.
You all, okay.
I probably talked enough for today.
Okay, I'll just make mine short as usual. I have nothing until our upcoming board meeting next week. And then
Your board meetings next week?
that's a bit long.
Oh.
Uh-oh. What's new in the neighborhood though, that makes it fun?
We're gonna have a disagreement on preventative maintenance, so it doesn't turn into a bigger repair.
Yeah, that was fun. That's it?
That's it. That's all I can discuss. How's that?
Okay. This is confidential.
You got some fun executive session stuff too.
You sure
It's not
do.
very fun. It's-
You sure do,
Huh?
you sure
Oh,
do.
the same thing.
You
Yep.
know about
We
it?
have,
Yep, yeah, because we were named.
Oh, you were?
yes.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yep,
You
we know.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, fun's over here. Go on, go on, Rachel.
Okay, so I'm in Saratoga Highlands. We don't have a lot going on, but going back to the crime that Sherry was mentioning, one of our houses was actually broken into in our neighborhood by those kids that have been going around. I say kids because they're probably like 18, maybe 17, maybe 20. But they think the police have got them because the girl that had the break-in actually has been getting more information from the police because she's done a more serious crime there from them. And she just needs more proof, video proof.
Of
so
what
she's
happened,
kind of-
yeah.
Do they think these are the same ones who've been checking through?
It is the same,
Yeah.
because all the videos that are out there are the same shit.
Yeah, it is.
So hopefully.
And I think
That's good, it's all
when
over.
they totaled her car, I think that they ended up getting one of the guys too.
Well, that's the one
But-
wrecked on,
The car is a
It's not-
different home.
Oh.
So there was a Chevy Traverse that, those are kind of new. It was stolen and found on the other side of town, like, I don't know, Boulder Highway or something. But there was also a different home that was broken into on a different day. So now they are hoping that they are the exact kids and they just need more proof that they've done all this damage.
Yeah, that's what she talked about from the lady from Metro, was Saratoga Highlands and then Chester Park.
The lady that was at Neighborhood Watch for Metro? Oh, perfect.
I don't know that much. I think they have.
It sent me right out and called ADT
Or-
the next day. I now have an alarm system. Because my dogs will invite anybody in it.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, oh, and going to the crime also. Our neighborhood is treading water right now with possibly doing it like a group. installation for the houses, but it's not gonna work. We're just
Trying to put it together.
putting the numbers together. So our house, some of our houses, the builder's upgrade was to do coach lights. Those are the lights that go on the front of the driveway, like lanterns that go on the front of your driveway. Some people didn't upgrade that and some people did. And so like a huge crime deferring thing is for having lights. And we already have really bright LED street lights. You can send in an ARC to add coach lights if you would like. You can add more security side lighting, anything like that. So what our board is trying to maybe say, here's an electrician that will install these lights. If you would like to get a group discount or a slight reimbursement from the HOA to help with crime. And I don't know how it's gonna go, but we were just getting our toes wet there. Might be ugly, might be cool,
I mean, but at least you'll have a cost-effective rate for those that are wanting to do it,
that's what
hopefully.
I guess the point is,
Yeah.
but it's
Because some people have done it, have done.
$400 to do it, it's really not that much.
It's a one-time payment.
Yeah, it would be
Huh?
one time, just install the lights.
I forget her name,
Okay.
but I know, I don't wanna misquote her name, but I know, and I've met her. But
Okay.
since COVID, they weren't doing anything.
Right.
So we reached out prior to Securitas leaving, asking if we can do another roundtable just to get them up here and stuff like that. So I have to follow
Because
up.
I know Randy is now doing in-person stuff in Sun City again.
And where?
Sun City.
Okay. Yeah,
He's
He used to
a
be our
metro,
old-
representative who's like community outreach.
Oh, Randy used to live here. Randy used to.
Uh-huh.
He's here.
he still lives here.
Somebody told me you moved.
No, he still lives here.
Yeah, so that's just one of the things that they're trying to decide, like, will this help with crime? I just think people need to lock their cars, park them in the driveway, put them in the garage. Yes, lights do help, lock your doors. So,
Get a security system.
I have a lot of shutters.
Metro had a report in the newspaper a couple of days ago about the crimes, and they listed more than 50 cars where people had left their key fob inside, left their gun in the car,
Yeah.
left their purse in the car, and left it unlocked.
Very
And they're like,
convenient.
surprise, surprise, it's
It is.
gone.
and it's unfortunate, but it's convenient and the criminals are gonna do it. Like, I'm not gonna walk by a car and be like, oh, there's a key, let me take it, but somebody could just.
Well, she also commented that we all have garages. Not everybody uses them for cars. I see a lot of other stuff. But she said you leave your garage door opener in your car when you go places.
And that happens.
Yeah, and then she said it doesn't take much for them to get in, know your license plate number, or even if you have your insurance card or insurance papers in there, and come home and I now take my garage door opener with me. I took it to heart, but I do, I take it out
You
now.
don't park inside the garage.
Oh, I do, but I mean
And-
outside,
and
when you
in
go
case if they
somewhere.
go
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
I see.
You know, you go grocery shopping, you go to the casino, you go here, it doesn't take much stuff to get into the cars and then get up. So that's, valid point.
Oh, interesting. And I know in our neighborhood, they were by qualified fence. The guys climbed over the fence and the cars were in the driveway, they got the clicker in and they still tools on the garage.
See, that's why I'm concerned a little bit about some of the trees that are, that makes it
This
easier.
wasn't a tree.
I know, you don't
It
have.
was well
And
lit.
it doesn't look like these people are using cover anyway, from the security camera, they just,
They're just going
They
on
just
and
go
on it.
They don't care.
no one's awake.
That's why I
catching.
think they've eventually got cut.
Yeah, they're careless.
Yeah.
And not very smart.
Lots of.
With a smart
That's like
criminal.
you say.
Are we gonna share, Bill?
The car.
You have anything?
Your car,
I do not.
it's in the driveway.
Okay, Jennifer?
Yes, hi. So are you guys, this is my first meeting, so are you just talking about things going on in your neighborhood?
Yes.
Okay, so variety of you, Jennifer, a couple of good things. We had our sub barbecue. I don't know if Phil, you talked about that earlier, but our community had a barbecue and a potluck, and we had quite a good turnout. I'd say at least 30 so, because there was a lot of people in the pool too. I don't know, what do you think, Phil? But our sub HOA rep came out and he was really impressed, and we're gonna try to get more community things organized for our little sub HOA. So that's really positive. We're trying to get our neighborhood watch reestablished. And I say that because the first time when I got it established, we weren't completely built out. Now that we're completely built out, like someone else said, you have to have one captain per street. And we were waiting on one street. So we finally got that one. So we're going to schedule to get the neighborhood watch back out to help educate our community. Let's see, what else do we have going on? I think those were the big things for Verada View.
Good. And welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Jennifer, how many houses in Verada View? Do you know?
Oh,
Oh,
There you go.
192, Jennifer.
okay. That sounds good.
All right, that's it. Well, I just need a motion to,
Before we do
oh,
that.
sorry, my bad.
You know, the water, I don't know if you all remember, but the last time I talked about trying to be more proactive, and one of them was water. Just the thing, one of my brothers, my sister-in-law had a summer home in Cedar City. And when they got up there at the end of May, the lake was down already. Cedar City had not gotten their usual snowfall. So they were already talking then about what they were gonna do about putting water.
Oh.
And that includes us, because that's where our water comes from. So that's why I was thinking, and I'm not saying we do it here and take up the time, but when you go home, when you have time, think about ways of what we can do about water in the future. Because the chances are pretty good, as my sister-in-law told me, chances look pretty good that they're gonna start cutting back on water. So if they cut back up there, they're gonna cut back down here. Just jot down when you have a chance, have a bowl or whatever. Just anything, it can be as wild as you want. Don't throw anything out.
No, there is such a thing as a stupid idea.
There is, and sometimes stupid ideas work, trust me. But there is, but keep stupid ideas, because sometimes you can turn a stupid idea around a little bit with something else and come up with something.
But you should be reaching out to SNWA
And we've already looked at cutting turf areas at Huckleberry Promenade.
But we should put it down and get a plan going.
We are, for that part we are.
Right,
Brighton's putting together a plan of taking out areas of turf and putting in desert landscaping. And because we still can get, what is it, $15 a square foot? The prices, they'll still pay us to take out $3 a square foot?
$3.
$3 a square foot, for 15,000.
And I think
Yeah.
they're trying
There's
to.
a cap, there's a cap.
There's a cap to it, yeah,
So we're
absolutely.
going turf area at least to that cap, we're looking at.
They're looking at making ornamental grass illegal.
Yeah, I've heard, it's, what's the term, unessential?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what you said, yeah,
Unessential
an essential area,
turf.
yeah.
Actually, there's quite a bit in that Huckleberry Park.
Right, the parks are exempt anyway.
Right.
We don't-
They're talking decorative grass like in front of a casino or in a median.
I think in front of people's residences
Too,
too.
yeah, uh-huh.
One
But
thing-
the definition is not as,
It's not as clear.
it's not as unessential
Right.
as you think it would.
And talking with one of the community managers told me some associations thought that in a few years, we won't have any grass at all. It'll all be whatever. But at any rate, if you have, just jot down some ideas, bring them with you next month if we have time, maybe we can talk about them and think of other things too. Because the idea, I don't, it's not like another pandemic or another thing where you wait till it happens and then, oh, now we have to do something. It's trying to get ahead of it.
If I could add to that, the new patrol, I didn't know who to contact when there was a major, well, I think all waste is bad, but there was a pretty bad water waste in front of the elementary school over the holiday weekend, and I didn't know who to contact. So I know that there was the What You Want to Know for Wednesday, and they did make note to go ahead and call them. But I think we need to make that more visible and known, because just today I had people, not I had, but there were on our social media Facebook pages, people asking, who do we contact? What is the patrol number? So the more we can put out there for the homeowners to know, I think the better.
Well, you can put it out on you have a Facebook page, that's what we did on ours. Each sub-association can help the master puts it all out there on, their, what you wanna know Wednesday, their little, texting that you get, and the weekly, email. But we also post it on our Facebook page for Auburn Bradford. I don't know if Broader View has any of that, but.
Yes, we post the phone numbers, but like I said, I didn't know myself over the holiday weekend who to contact for the week, because this was the new patrol, right? So I think it's important for us, like you said, to let our neighborhoods and sub associations know who to contact for things like that.
Okay, are you on the text and the email part of the master?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, because I do know it was coming out on that.
Can you text back and give information?
The only thing that we get back is, people requesting that they opt out,
Oh.
but it's really something that they have to do.
Yeah.
We can't stop it. They have to actually, because they're the ones that opt into it, so they have to do the same to opt out of it.
But it was on there a few times, I know.
Oh, yeah, we disseminated the information prior to them even starting. So, yeah, we definitely gave them, but I think to Jenna's first point, just making it clear what they're able to do. And I know that in the past, in the weekly gazettes, we've kind of done like a FAQ or what Courtesy Patrol does provide and does give as far as their services. But again, we talk about this all the time as far as what people are looking at, what they're reading, if they're actually paying attention to it. So the information is disseminated, but some of you guys are on your boards or some of you guys are on committees. It's just important that you're disseminating and providing that information to your management company so that they can get it out to the other residents that are not participating in ways that you guys are.
What's the name of this new pro?
Marksman.
Marksman, do they have the same phone number as the other?
No.
Completely
No.
different.
New phone number published somewhere?
You want it?
Totally different.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know if it was a generic phone number here for.
702-742-0361. But that goes to a central office with them?
It goes to.
The 742 actually goes to the account manager.
Okay, whereas then when he's not here.
It's a phone truck, so then it would go to
Okay,
the
then it
account.
goes to the-
I don't want to say P1 because that's the old.
They have someone 24/7
Yep.
to answer it then.
Yep, it'll be dispatched. So they do have a dispatching call center where if like the account manager doesn't answer right away, then it does go to the dispatch and then the dispatch will disseminate that call to.
For leaks like that one that was on Durrell and, Egan Crest.
Egan Crest, and across from
That
Boulder in the
kind,
median.
there'll be thousands of gallons if it goes overnight, so. We call Marksman calls, is there a staff person who's designated on call
Are you?
to call
To Brightview?
Brightview?
Yes,
Okay, and they will come out at any time?
they will have their irrigation tech come out. It's just an
So how do
emergency
you,
trip
do you
charge.
rotate a staff member that's on call?
Not for us, no. So it goes, so
So Marksman will contact Brightview?
Brightview directly,
Okay.
correct. And then they also get the report as well. So once they generate the report, they're on that workflow. So they'll see the same report, they'll see exactly where it is, they have the picture of it, so that irrigation tech knows exactly where to go.
Are we talking about water leaks?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Oh,
Good, good to know.
We have, I noticed walking dogs, they're private homes, the homes, they have water leaks there. They have emitters that are just shooting water up. And I talked to Kim about it once and she said it's private property. They can't do anything. So is there anything we can do about it?
Yeah, call the water district and
Call them.
send a letter saying the house is wasting water.
If we, so like for us at the master, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah, if it's a repetitive thing.
For us at the master, while our inspector is out, she'll call the office and she'll tell us, hey, we have an active leak. Do we have contact information for the homeowner? And we will generally try to get in contact with the homeowner and let them know that there is a situation. So that's what we do to try to mitigate it. And if it's a continuum of an issue, then we would start the enforcement process.
Okay, because there are 2 out of 3 that kept going. There were just a stream of water just running down every single morning.
I think you can even report it online, and put in the address and everything on the water.
Well, they're probably gonna get something anyways with the continuous water. I mean, they'll probably, the water district will see that they're watering outside of whatever, and they'll probably send them a notice anyway.
Ask your community manager to contact the owner and let them know that they have a water leak. Take a picture of it, send it to the community manager, they contact the owner, point out the leak, hopefully the owner fixes it.
Yeah, or
If they don't, then you can take additional steps.
We've had that,
Okay,
we just
because I've
talk to
done
the
that in
owner.
the past.
I'm sorry,
I've done that in the past.
I've done that, and it's for,
This one here, this time it didn't work.
Or get a bunch of emitters from Home Depot,
Replace
pop them in.
Yeah, I don't know why we can't. You
It's
know,
like in the
okay,
yard. Why can't you go turn off their water, does it prevent it?
it's trespassing, you don't want to do it.
Yes, they might have a gun. Everybody has a gun.
Fine.
Everybody's
Okay,
got one.
so motion
Everybody
to
should
adjourn.
Okay, we're done.
Adjourn.
Thank you, thank you.
All right, what would
So
be
Nancy
Nancy?
and,
It's, I move, or I make a motion can't be deferred.
You're really stuck on formality.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
And we're out. Over and out.
I move out of here.
Thank you.
Were you a trial
Thank you.
attorney?
Everybody.
Yeah,
thank you for coming, thank
nothing
you.
personal, Phil, but I don't like attorneys.
I don't
2
like
things I
attorneys.
discovered about
I
attorneys.
hate attorneys, probably more than that.
No, the thing I discovered about attorneys, number 1, they can't write.
See you when I see you.